This is absolutely sickening. What WWE has done to Naomi and the Uso family is beyond disgusting, beyond unprofessional, and honestly beyond anything I thought even WWE would stoop to. Right now, as I'm recording this video, Naomi is in tears, completely devastated, because WWE has allowed a fake rumor to spread like wildfire across social media claiming that her husband Jimmy Uso died from a heart attack. Let me say that again for the people in the back. WWE has allowed, and according to multiple backstage sources, may have even encouraged the spread of a completely fabricated story about Jimmy Uso's death. A human being's death. A husband, a father, a brother, and they're using it for what? Storyline drama? Social media engagement? This is absolutely revolting, and I'm not holding back in this video. Uso is devastated. Naomi is being consoled by friends and family who genuinely believed she had become a widow. And WWE? They're sitting back watching the chaos unfold like this is all some twisted marketing campaign. This crosses every single line that should never be crossed in this business, and I'm about to expose exactly what happened and why heads need to roll for this. It started at approximately 3:47 a.m. Eastern Time yesterday when a Twitter account claiming to be affiliated with WWE medical staff posted a tweet that read, "Tragic news from WWE medical team. Jimmy Uso rushed to hospital after suffering massive heart attack during training. Family has been notified. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Uso family during this difficult time." Within minutes, this tweet had been screenshot, shared, and reposted across every single wrestling social media platform imaginable. Instagram wrestling pages with hundreds of thousands of followers picked it up. Facebook wrestling groups were flooded with tributes. TikTok creators started making memorial videos. The wrestling community went into absolute mourning mode for Jimmy Uso. But here's where this gets absolutely disgusting. Multiple sources are now telling me that this wasn't just some random internet troll. This was a coordinated effort that involved people within WWE's own social media department. The original tweet came from an account that had insider information, posting schedules that matched WWE's internal documents, and had been dropping legitimate news for weeks to build credibility specifically for this moment. Naomi woke up to hundreds of text messages, phone calls, and social media notifications from friends, family members, and wrestling colleagues offering their condolences for her husband's death. Imagine waking up to that. Imagine the absolute terror, the confusion, the heart-stopping moment when you think your husband might actually be dead and you somehow missed it. She immediately tried calling Jimmy, who was asleep and didn't answer his phone right away because he had been up late with their kids. Those 15 minutes of unanswered calls were the longest 15 minutes of Naomi's life, according to someone close to the family who spoke to me on condition of anonymity. When I tell you that Naomi's reaction to this fake rumor was heartbreaking, I mean that in the most literal sense possible. This woman, who has given everything to WWE, who has been loyal to this company through thick and thin, was reduced to a sobbing mess because someone thought it would be clever to fake her husband's death for wrestling storyline purposes. A source who was with Naomi when she first saw the rumors described the scene to me, and honestly, it's difficult to even repeat. She was scrolling through her phone, probably expecting to see the usual wrestling gossip and fan interactions, when she started seeing tribute posts about Jimmy. At first, she thought it was some kind of joke or maybe people were confused about a storyline. But as the posts kept coming, and as more legitimate wrestling news accounts started picking up the story, the reality of what was happening hit her like a freight train. She started hyperventilating, couldn't catch her breath, and was crying so hard that she could barely speak when she tried to call Jimmy to make sure he was okay. The psychological torture that this woman went through for those 15 minutes while Jimmy wasn't answering his phone is something that no human being should ever have to experience. She genuinely believed, for a brief moment, that her husband was dead and that somehow she had been the last to know. The trauma of that experience is going to stick with her forever. But it gets worse. Even after Jimmy answered his phone and confirmed he was very much alive, the rumors continued to spread. Social media algorithms had picked up the story, and it was trending worldwide. Naomi had to spend the entire day dealing with people who still believed her husband was dead, having to explain over and over again that it was all fake while reliving that initial trauma with every conversation. Uso's reaction to this fake death rumor about his twin brother is something that nobody should ever have to witness. According to multiple sources close to the Uso family, Jay was at his home when he started receiving frantic phone calls from relatives and friends who had seen the news online. The first call came from their mother, who was absolutely hysterical and could barely get the words out through her tears. She had seen the social media posts and was calling to find out what hospital Jimmy had been taken to, what his condition was, and whether the family needed to fly out immediately. Jay had no idea what she was talking about. Within minutes, his phone was ringing non-stop. Cousins, family friends, wrestling colleagues, everyone was calling to offer their condolences and ask about funeral arrangements. Jay went from confused to terrified to absolutely furious in the span of about 10 minutes as he realized what was happening. A family friend who was with Jay during this ordeal told me that watching him try to process this situation was devastating. Here's a man who has built his entire career alongside his twin brother, who considers Jimmy not just his wrestling partner but his best friend and closest confidant, suddenly being told by dozens of people that Jimmy was dead. Even after Jay confirmed that Jimmy was alive and well, the emotional damage was already done. He spent hours on the phone with elderly relatives who were grieving for a death that never happened. He had to comfort his own mother, who was inconsolable despite being told repeatedly that Jimmy was okay. The ripple effects of this fake rumor destroyed an entire family's emotional well-being for an entire day. But here's what really makes me angry about Jay's situation: he's not just dealing with the personal trauma of thinking his brother was dead. He's also dealing with the professional implications. Jay and Jimmy are scheduled for major storylines, and now there's this cloud of fake death rumors hanging over everything they do. How is he supposed to go out there and perform when WWE has essentially used his family's tragedy, even a fake one, as a marketing tool? Now here's where this story goes from tragic to absolutely infuriating. It has been over 24 hours since this fake death rumor started spreading, and WWE has issued exactly 0 official statements correcting the record or addressing the situation. Not a tweet, not a press release, not even a backstage comment to wrestling reporters. Nothing. This is a publicly traded company that just allowed one of their employees to be psychologically tortured with fake news about her husband's death, and they can't even be bothered to issue a statement saying, Jimmy Uso is alive and well. What kind of organization operates this way? Multiple wrestling journalists have reached out to WWE's communications department asking for comment, and they're either being ignored or told, no comment. No comment. Your employee's family was traumatized by fake death rumors and you have no comment. This is beyond unacceptable. But here's what really makes this suspicious: WWE's social media team is usually incredibly quick to shut down false rumors about their talent. When fake retirement stories come out, they're corrected within hours. When false injury reports surface, WWE medical staff immediately provides updates. But a fake death rumor about one of their top stars? Radio silence. This suggests one of two equally disturbing possibilities. Either WWE is so incompetent that they don't realize the psychological damage they're causing to their own employees, or they're intentionally allowing this rumor to continue because they think it somehow benefits their storylines or social media engagement. Both possibilities are absolutely disgusting and show a complete lack of basic human decency from WWE's management and social media teams. Based on my investigation into this situation, I believe this fake death rumor was not just a random internet prank, but a coordinated attack designed to cause maximum psychological damage to the Uso family while generating social media buzz for WWE storylines. The original Twitter account that started this rumor had been building credibility for weeks by posting legitimate WWE insider information. This wasn't some random troll account with 12 followers. This was an account that had established itself as a reliable source for WWE news specifically so that when they posted this fake death announcement, people would believe it immediately. The timing is also suspicious. This rumor started spreading at 3:47 a.m. Eastern Time, which is exactly when WWE's social media monitoring team would be at their smallest staffing level. It's also the time when viral content spreads fastest because there are fewer official sources awake to contradict false information. Within 6 hours, the fake death announcement had been shared across every major wrestling social media platform, picked up by international wrestling news sites, and even mentioned on some mainstream entertainment blogs. That kind of coordinated spread doesn't happen by accident. What's even more disturbing is that several wrestling content creators who normally fact-check their information before posting seem to skip their usual verification process for this particular story. That suggests they may have received the information from sources they trusted, sources that may have been feeding them false information intentionally. This has all the hallmarks of a viral marketing campaign gone horribly wrong, or a deliberate psychological attack on the Uso family designed to create drama that could be used for future storylines. Either way, it's absolutely unacceptable and potentially illegal depending on the jurisdiction and the specific laws about spreading false information about someone's death. The social media aftermath of this fake death rumor has been absolutely chaotic and heartbreaking to watch unfold. Wrestling fans around the world genuinely mourn Jimmy Uso's fake death, creating tribute videos, sharing their favorite memories of his matches, and sending heartfelt condolences to his family.
TikTok was flooded with memorial content. YouTube creators uploaded tribute videos that received hundreds of thousands of views. Instagram wrestling pages posted career highlight reels with captions about Jimmy's legacy. The wrestling community came together in a beautiful way to honor someone they thought had died, except it was all based on a lie. But here's what makes this even more disturbing: even after it became clear that the death rumor was fake, many of these tribute posts remained online. Social media algorithms had already pushed this content to millions of people, and the correction wasn't spreading as fast as the original lie. Naomi had to watch, in real time, as thousands of people posted about her husband's death, shared photos from their wedding, and talked about how she was now a widow. Can you imagine the psychological torture of seeing your own fake widowhood trending on social media while you're trying to process your own trauma from believing the rumor yourself? The comment sections under these posts were filled with people sharing their own stories of losing spouses, offering grief counseling resources, and genuinely trying to support Naomi through what they thought was the worst day of her life. The kindness was real, but it was all based on a fabricated tragedy. Even now, days later, there are still people who haven't gotten the message that Jimmy Uso is alive. Naomi continues to receive condolence messages from fans who saw the original rumor but missed the corrections. She's having to relive this trauma over and over again as she politely thanks people for their concern while explaining that her husband isn't actually dead. This fake death rumor didn't just affect Naomi, Jimmy, and Jey Uso. It sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling community and highlighted just how vulnerable wrestling families are to this type of psychological warfare. Other wrestling wives and family members started panicking, wondering if they could be next. If WWE was willing to allow fake death rumors about Jimmy Uso to spread unchecked, what was stopping someone from targeting their families? The sense of security that wrestling families should feel knowing that their employer will protect them from harassment and false information has been completely shattered. Roman Reigns, who is like a brother to the Uso family, was reportedly devastated when he first heard the news. He immediately started making phone calls to find out what hospital Jimmy had been taken to and whether he needed to cancel his scheduled appearances to be with the family. The relief when he found out it was fake was enormous, but the anger at WWE for allowing it to happen has been building ever since. Paul Heyman, who has worked closely with the Bloodline storyline and considers the Uso family part of his extended wrestling family, was seen backstage at the last SmackDown taping looking absolutely furious. Sources tell me he's been pushing WWE management to issue a statement and take action against whoever was responsible for spreading the fake rumor. Even wrestlers from other companies reached out to offer their support and condolences. AEW wrestlers, Impact Wrestling stars, and independent wrestlers all sent messages thinking that Jimmy had actually passed away. The wrestling community is tight-knit, and fake death rumors affect everyone in the business. What WWE has allowed to happen to the USO family may have serious legal implications that go far beyond just bad publicity and social media backlash. Spreading false information about someone's death can constitute defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and in some jurisdictions, it can even be considered a form of harassment or stalking. If it can be proven that WWE employees were involved in creating or spreading this fake death rumor, the company could be looking at massive lawsuits not just from the USO family, but potentially from anyone who was emotionally damaged by believing the false information. That could include family members, friends, and even fans who were genuinely traumatized by the fake news. The psychological damage that Naomi has suffered from this ordeal could be grounds for a substantial emotional distress lawsuit. She experienced genuine terror and grief believing that her husband was dead, and that trauma was caused by someone's deliberate decision to spread false information. That's textbook intentional infliction of emotional distress. There's also the question of whether this fake death rumor could be considered defamation. While Jimmy Uso obviously wasn't harmed by being falsely reported as dead in the traditional sense, the rumor did cause significant emotional distress to his family and could potentially impact his professional reputation and earning capacity. If WWE was directly involved in creating or spreading this rumor as part of a marketing campaign or storyline development, they could be facing criminal charges in addition to civil lawsuits. Using someone's fake death for commercial purposes without their consent crosses numerous legal boundaries. WWE needs to take immediate action to address this situation and prevent it from ever happening again. First and foremost, they need to issue a public statement acknowledging that Jimmy Uso is alive and well, apologizing to the USO family for the trauma they've experienced, and committing to investigate how this rumor was allowed to spread unchecked. They need to identify and fire any employees who were involved in creating or spreading this fake death rumor. If this was a coordinated effort involving WWE personnel, those people need to face consequences for their actions. You cannot psychologically torture your own employees and their families without facing serious repercussions. WWE also needs to implement better social media monitoring and response protocols to prevent this type of situation from happening in the future. They have the resources to monitor social media 24/7 and quickly correct false information about their talent. There's no excuse for allowing a fake death rumor to spread for over 24 hours without any official response. The USO family deserves a personal apology from WWE's top executives, not just a generic corporate statement. Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and Nick Khan need to personally reach out to Naomi, Jimmy, and Jay to acknowledge the harm that's been done and explain what steps they're taking to prevent it from happening again. Finally, WWE needs to provide counseling and support resources for the USO family to help them process the trauma they've experienced. Being psychologically tortured with fake death rumors isn't something you just get over. This is going to have lasting effects on their mental health and their trust in their employer. This fake death rumor scandal represents a new low for WWE's treatment of their talent and their families. We've seen WWE make questionable creative decisions before, we've seen them handle public relations poorly, but we've never seen them allow their own employees to be psychologically tortured with fake news about family deaths. This incident raises serious questions about WWE's company culture and their respect for basic human decency. How does a company allow something like this to happen? How do you build a workplace environment where someone thinks it's acceptable to traumatize families with fake death rumors for the sake of storyline drama or social media engagement? The silence from WWE's leadership has been deafening. Triple H, who is supposed to be the creative visionary leading WWE into a new era, hasn't said a word about this situation. Stephanie McMahon, who has built her public persona around supporting women in wrestling, has remained silent while one of her female employees was emotionally devastated by this fake rumor. Nick Khan, WWE's president and chief revenue officer, apparently thinks that allowing fake death rumors to spread about his talent is acceptable business practice. The complete lack of leadership and basic human compassion from WWE's executive team is absolutely staggering. This is the same company that claims to care about mental health awareness, that promotes anti-bullying campaigns, and that talks constantly about treating their talent like family. But when push comes to shove, they're willing to let their family members, be psychologically tortured if they think it might generate social media buzz. The wrestling community also bears some responsibility for how quickly this fake death rumor spread and how much damage it caused. In our rush to be the first to report breaking news and get social media engagement, too many wrestling content creators shared this information without taking the time to verify its accuracy. Wrestling journalists and content creators need to implement better fact-checking procedures, especially when dealing with sensitive information like death announcements. The old journalism rule of confirming information with multiple independent sources before publishing needs to be strictly enforced in the wrestling media landscape. Social media platforms also need to take responsibility for how their algorithms amplified this false information. The fact that fake death rumors can trend worldwide within hours while corrections spread much more slowly shows that these platforms are fundamentally broken when it comes to handling sensitive information. Wrestling fans need to be more skeptical of information they see on social media, especially when it comes from unverified sources or seems designed to generate strong emotional reactions. Before sharing news about someone's death, take a moment to verify the information through official channels. But ultimately, the responsibility lies with whoever created and spread this fake rumor in the first place. Whether it was WWE employees, social media trolls, or content creators looking for engagement, the people responsible for traumatizing the Uso family need to face serious consequences for their actions. At the end of the day, this isn't just about wrestling storylines or social media engagement or corporate public relations. This is about real human beings who were genuinely traumatized by the cruel and deliberate spread of false information about a family member's death. Naomi will never forget the 15 minutes she spent believing her husband was dead while he wasn't answering his phone. That terror, that grief, that sense of loss, those emotions were real even though the death was fake. The psychological trauma from that experience is going to stick with her for the rest of her life. Jey Uso will never forget having to comfort his own mother who was crying because she thought her son was dead. He'll never forget the panic in his relatives' voices when they called looking for information about Jimmy's condition. Those family relationships have been damaged by this ordeal in ways that may never fully heal. Jimmy Uso has to live with the knowledge that someone thought his fake death would be useful for entertainment purposes. He has to work for a company that allowed rumors of his death to spread unchecked while his wife and brother suffered psychological torture. How do you maintain professional relationships after something like that? The extended Uso family, their friends, and their wrestling colleagues all experienced genuine grief and trauma based on false information. The ripple effects of this fake death rumor will continue to cause emotional damage for months or even years to come. This is what happens when you treat human beings like props in your entertainment product instead of respecting them as people with families and feelings who deserve basic human decency. What WWE has done to Naomi and the Uso family is absolutely unforgivable. The psychological torture these people have endured because of fake death rumors that were allowed to spread unchecked represents a new low in professional wrestling's treatment of talent and their families. The silence from WWE's leadership has been deafening and disgusting. The lack of any official statement correcting the record or apologizing to the affected families shows a complete absence of basic human compassion and professional responsibility. This cannot be allowed to stand. WWE needs to face serious consequences for their role in this ordeal, whether through legal action, public pressure, or boycotts of their programming and merchandise. The wrestling community cannot allow companies to psychologically torture their own employees and their families without facing serious repercussions. I'm calling on every wrestling fan watching this video to demand better from WWE. Share this video, spread the word about what really happened to the Uso family, and put pressure on WWE to take accountability for their actions. Use the hashtags #JusticeForNaomi and #UsoFamilyDeserves better to show your support for the affected families. Contact WWE's sponsors and let them know that you won't support companies that partner with organizations that allow fake death rumors to traumatize their employees' families. Hit them where it hurts, in their revenue stream, until they're forced to take action and prevent this from happening again. Most importantly, remember that behind every wrestling character is a real human being with real families and real feelings who deserve to be treated with basic respect and dignity. What happened to Naomi, Jimmy, and Jey Uso could happen to any wrestling family, and it's up to all of us to make sure it never does. The wrestling business has always been built on larger-than-life characters and dramatic storylines, but there are lines that should never be crossed. Using fake death rumors to traumatize real families crosses every single one of those lines, and WWE needs to be held accountable for their role in this disgusting ordeal. This is Wrestling News CC, and I won't stop fighting for the wrestlers and their families who deserve so much better than this. Share this video, demand justice for the Uso family, and let's make sure WWE can never get away with something like this again. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.